Okay, guys, welcome to today's class. Thank you for joining. Today we'll be considering change of subject of a formula. Change of subject of a formula. And we'll be starting in about 1 minute. I just want to add my students on WhatsApp. Almost done. Okay. One more step. So once again, welcome guys to today's class. So today we are looking at change of subject of a formula. Okay, change of subject of a formula. So the way we're going to look at it is, Lawrence, you're welcome. Lucky, you're also welcome. Thank you for joining. So the camera in front of me is for the students on YouTube because the persons on the YouTube are from my WhatsApp group. So I only have one camera displayed in front of me to interact. Okay. So first thing we need to do is, for us to understand this topic, we need to first know what formula is. So we're going to look at formula, then we're going to look at subject of a formula, and then finally we are going to look at change of subject of a formula. So three-step process. What is a formula? What is the subject of a formula? And what does it mean to change the subject of a formula? Okay, so let's see what a formula is. Somebody is saying, are we going to study thermodynamics? No, we are not doing thermodynamics. We are doing change of subject of a formula, mathematics. Okay, so firstly, let's look at what is a subject, or what is a formula? So the first thing we need to know is, what is a formula? So a formula is an equation in which letters represent quantities. Quantities. So a formula is an equation in which letters represent quantities. So first thing is an equation. Okay, so every formula is an equation, but not all equations are formulas. Every formula is an equation, but not all equations are formulas. For example, if I have 2x plus 3 is equal to 13. This is an equation. It is an equation because it is an algebraic, it is an algebra that has left side, right side, and equal to sign. So because this is an algebra that contains a left side, a right side, and an equal to sign, this is an equation. Excuse me. This is an equation. But is this a formula? No. It is not a formula because although it contains a letter X, but this letter X does not represent a quantity. Okay? So for it to be called a formula, it must represent a specific quantity. So this is an equation, but this is not a formula. Now let's see an equation that is also a formula. If I have V is equal to D all over T. V is equal to D all over T. This is an equation. It's an equation because it contains a value on the left side. It is also an equation because it contains values on the right side, and in between them, it has an equal to sign. But apart from being an equation, it is also a formula. Why is it a formula? It is a formula because these letters here represent quantities. Okay, so they are not just arbitrary values, they are real quantities. V represents velocity, D represents distance, and T represents time. So because the letters in this equation represent quantities, this is not just an equation, it is also a formula, right? So not all equations are formulas. This is an equation, but this is not a formula. This is an equation, and it is also a formula. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to know. And also, formulas are used to solve real life problems. So they are formulated to solve a practical problem. Okay, so if you want to calculate the velocity of an object that covers a particular distance at a particular time, we are going to use this formula to solve that. So the formula is used to solve a specific problem. Okay, so now we've seen what a formula is. Remember, we're looking at change of subject of a formula. So we've seen what a formula is. The next thing we're going to see is what is the subject of a formula. What is the subject of a formula? Ahmed, nice to see you. Welcome everyone on YouTube. Also, those of you that are on TikTok, you guys are all welcome. Although I don't have a screen in front of me to interact with you guys. So if you want to join my free WhatsApp group, all you need to do is send me a DM at the end of this class. If you're on TikTok, send me a DM at the end of this class so I can direct you on how to join the WhatsApp group. Okay, so now let's look at the subject of a formula. So the subject of a formula is the value we are trying to calculate. So this is the value So the subject of the formula is the value we are trying to calculate, the value we are trying to find with the help of the formula. So just like in this particular live class, there is a subject. The subject is mathematics, change of subject of a formula, that's the subject. The same thing applies to every formula. There's always a target for that formula, what you are trying to solve using that formula. And the subject of the formula is usually found alone on the left side of the formula. So the subject of the formula is usually found alone on the left side of the formula. So just like the example we used earlier, V is equal to D all over T. V is equal to D all over T. V is found alone on the left side of the formula, Therefore, V is the subject of the formula. Okay? So V is alone on the left, V is the subject. This is what we are trying to find. So this formula tells us that if I know my D, which is distance, if I know my T, which is time, then I can find the velocity. So it is found on the left side of the formula. Every other value is found on the right side. So once you see a value on the left side, we know that that is the subject of the formula. Wow, polynomial. Um, we only have classes on Wednesdays and Fridays. So um, I'm not sure if we will be able to have a class on polynomial before your exams. So sorry about that. Okay, so V is equal to D all over T. The V is the subject. So we've seen what the formula is. We've seen what the subject of a formula is. Next is change of subject of a formula. Change of subject of a formula means V is the initial subject, and we can decide that we want D to be the subject. The question is, how do we get it done? Okay, so V is the initial subject. Now, you might be asked to make D the subject. That means you're asked to change the subject so that D will come to the left side and V has to move to the right side. So the process of doing that is what we call change of subject of a formula. So that is what we are going to start looking at right now. Okay. We are not considering speed exactly. I'm just using this as an example. So talking about speed in details, we are trying to look at physics, not mathematics. Okay, so let's continue with the subject of this class. Remember, we are looking at subject. Um, Madichala is trying to change the subject of this class, but we have to stick to the subject of this class. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. Okay, example. So we're going to look at an example now using the very simple example we started with. Okay, so make D the subject of V is equal to D all over T. So we're starting with something very easy. We are told to make D make D the subject of V is equal to D all over T. Okay. So let's see how to get that done. So in this question, we can see that this is the right side contains a fraction, right? The left side contains a fraction. So since the left side contains a fraction, our first target is to eliminate the fraction. We don't want a fraction yet, okay? So for us to eliminate it, we need to cross multiply. So if we have V is equal to D all over T, this V is the same thing as V all over 1, right? Okay, so V all over T, so V is equal to D over T, the same thing as V all over 1 is equal to D all over T. It's the same thing. And then the next thing we're going to do is cross multiply. V is going to multiply T, and D is going to multiply 1. So because we want D to be the subject of the formula, we start by multiplying D so that D will be found on the left. So D multiplied by 1 will give us D. It's equal to, and then V multiplied by T is going to give us VT. And just by doing this, we can see that D is now found on the left side of the equation or the left side of the formula. Therefore, D is the new subject of the formula. So we have now made D the subject of this formula. So what do we learn from this? We observe that this is a fraction, right? This is a fraction. So because it is a fraction, we had to cross multiply. But our next example, we're going to look at something that is not a fraction. So we're going to see what we'll do if it is not a fraction, okay? I think that should have been the first example I would have done. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's continue. Those of you on TikTok, I'm sorry, I can only see the comments from YouTube. So if you want to join my WhatsApp group, because the persons on YouTube are from my WhatsApp group. So if you want to join my WhatsApp group, send me a DM, send me a message at the end of the live class over there on TikTok, and then I will respond by connecting you to the WhatsApp group. Okay? So sorry that I cannot read your messages on TikTok. Okay, so now let's look at another example. Let's make X the subject of AX plus B is equal to D. D is equal to AX plus B. Okay. Let's make X the subject of the formula. Okay, so if you have this situation where there's no fraction in view, what you can do to make your work easy is you simply mirror the formula. You mirror the formula. What do I mean by mirroring the formula? What I mean is all the values on the right, bring them to the left, and what you have on the left, bring it to the right. That's mirroring it. So if you look at your mirror, while looking at yourself in the mirror, your right hand becomes your left hand, and your left hand becomes your right hand. So you just mirror the formula. So that we're going to have AX plus B is equal to D. So that's the first step. When you don't have a fraction, if you have a fraction, just cross multiply. But if you don't have a fraction, the first thing you do is mirror the formula. Okay. Next, remember I want to make X the subject. Therefore, X is now on the left side. So we have achieved our first target. However, X is on the left side with some unwanted guests. There are some values, there are some letters on the left that are not supposed to be there. The first one is plus B. Plus B is on the left, but it's not supposed to be on the left. Because as long as it's on the left, X is not yet the subject. For X to be the subject, it must be found alone. Also, A should not be on the left. So that means we need to move them back to the right. Okay. They accompanied X to the left, but we have to move them back to the right. So let's start with moving plus B to the right. In order to eliminate plus B on the left side, we introduce the opposite of plus B, the process of solving equations. Remember, a formula is an equation. So when solving equations, if you want to eliminate a value, you introduce the opposite of that value. So since we want to eliminate plus B on the left side, we introduce the opposite of plus B, which is minus B. Okay, so we introduce minus B to both sides. So we are going to have ax plus b minus b is equal to d minus b. Okay, so plus b and minus b will cancel each other out. So because the positive of a value and the negative of a value will always cancel each other out. So on the left we have ax is equal to d minus b. So we have eliminated b. B is no longer found on the left. The next thing we're going to do is we need to eliminate a from the left. And a is attaching itself to x by a multiplication sign. Ax is the same thing as a times x. Ax is the same thing as a times x. So for us to eliminate a, we have to introduce the opposite of times a, which is divided by a. So we have ax divided by a is equal to d minus b divided by a. So a is going to cancel out a. X is equal to d minus b all over a. And that becomes our final answer. Yeah, you're saying, am I teaching 10 years old students? These are very basic. Yeah, these might be basic for you, but they might not be basic for everybody. So we move from the simple to the difficult. So probably if you don't need it, maybe the class might not be for you. Okay, so x is equal to d minus b all over a. Okay, very good. So we're going to step up a little to see more advanced questions. So whenever you're learning a topic, you don't just go to the difficult ones. You step up step by step. Okay. So let's look at another question. So let's make so we are stepping up a little. Okay. So let's look at this one. We are told to make G the subject of T is equal to 2 pi square root of h square plus k square divided by g h. Why is the screen? Why is it getting blurry? Is it blurry over there at your end? Okay, let's see. Maybe when I write more, it will get clearer. Okay, so we have t is equal to 2 pi. Let me check. Okay. I use my magic hands. Okay, so t is equal to 2 pi square root of h square plus k square divided by g h. So what we want to make the subject of the formula is found right inside the square root. So that means for us to get to g, there are some steps we need to take to free g. Okay. So let's start. Let's start. Ready? So the first thing we need to do is we're going to eliminate all the values that are going to stop us from getting to G. Okay. The first value we need to move out of the way is 2 pi. So here you don't need to cross multiply yet because G is still far away. Also, you don't need to flip it or to mirror it because this is a little bit complex. So what you are going to do is peel off the top layers first. So we have 2 pi here. Let's see how to eliminate 2 pi because for us to access G, we need to eliminate 2 pi, we need to eliminate square root, then we can access G and every other value here. Okay, so to eliminate 2 pi, we need to divide both sides by 2 pi. So we're going to have T all over 2 pi is equal to 2 pi all over 2 pi square root of h squared plus k squared all over gh. So on the left, these two will cancel out. Sorry, on the right, those two will cancel out. And then we're going to have t all over 2 pi is equal to square root of h squared plus k squared all over gh. Okay. Next, we need to eliminate, we have not still gotten access to G because there is a square root hindering us from accessing G. So what we are going to do is find a way to eliminate square root. In order to eliminate square root, we need to introduce the opposite of square root. The opposite of square root is square. So to cancel out square root, we introduce square. To cancel out plus, we introduce minus. To cancel out multiplication, we introduce division. So to cancel out square root, we introduce square. So we're going to have t all over 2 pi all square is equal to square root of h squared plus k squared all over gh all square. Let me check if the TikTok persons are seeing the screen. Okay, I think, yeah. Well done, everyone on TikTok. Thank you for being here with us. You can join my WhatsApp group by sending me a DM at the end of the class. Okay, so over on the left, on the right, square root and square will cancel out, right? So this square outside belongs to t and belongs to 2 pi. So let's give each of them the square. So t is going to become t squared all over 2 pi having square. We're going to have 2 square is equal to 4, and then we'll have pi squared. Hope that is understood. So this bracket means that this square belongs to every value in this bracket. So t square, we have written it down. 2 square means 4, and then pi squared. Okay, so it's equal to h squared plus k squared all over gh. So now we can see that g is free. Then now we can cross multiply. So we could not cross multiply here because g was not free. 2 pi was holding it captive. Square root was holding it captive. So we needed to eliminate all those hindrances before we can cross multiply. So now we can cross multiply. This is going to multiply this, and this is going to multiply this. Okay. So now we're going to have GHT squared is equal to 4 pi squared multiplied by h squared plus k squared. GHT squared is equal to 4 pi squared multiplied by parenthesis bracket means multiplication. So multiply by h squared plus k squared. So now G is now on the left, but is G the subject? Not yet. G is not the subject of the formula because we still have h on the left, we still have t squared on the left. So we need to eliminate those values for G to become the subject. And for us to eliminate them, we need to divide by ht squared. We need to divide by ht squared. And remember, we're going to divide both sides like that. Okay. So we're going to have, I'm wiping this off. So we're going to have g ht squared all over ht squared is equal to 4 pi squared h squared plus k squared all over ht squared. Okay. So at this point, this is going to cancel out with this. We're going to have g is equal to 4 pi squared h squared plus k squared all over ht squared. So that becomes our final answer. That becomes our final answer. So at this point, we've made G the subject of the formula. Very simple. Okay. Hope you guys are following up. So we'll solve one more question, and then I'll give you guys a classwork, and then that will be at the end of today's class. Tomorrow, on Friday, we are going to look at word problems involving change of subject of formula. Word problems involving change of subject. Okay, let's look at one more question. Example. Make and the subject of I is equal to n all over r plus n r. So sorry about the screen. Most times when I wipe off what's on the board, the camera will begin to struggle to focus. I'm talking about the YouTube platform. Okay, so we have I is equal to NE divided by R plus NE. So this is another situation where we need to be careful. The reason is, in this particular question, we have N and we have N. We don't just have one value of N, we have two values of N. So we need, for us to make them the subject, they need to become one, right? So not two, but one. So let's see how we can do that. So since we don't have anything that is hindering us from cross multiplying, there's no square root, there's no square covering these values. So since there is no value like that, or since there is no operation like that, we can just simply go ahead to cross multiply. So I here is something as I over 1 is equal to NE all over R plus NR. So that means I is going to multiply this, and 1 is going to multiply this. So let's do that. 1 times NE will give us NE is equal to I times R will give us IR, and I times NR will give us INR. Okay. But now we can see that, we can clearly see that we have n on both sides of the equation. So since we want to make n the subject, n has to be on the left. So that means this value has to go to the left. But when it's moving to the left, it has to move with all its companion. It has to go with I, it has to go with R. So for us to move it to the left, we have to introduce the opposite of plus INR, which is minus INR to both sides of the formula. So we're going to have N plus NE minus INR is equal to IR plus INR minus INR. Okay. So we want to move INR to the left so that n will be on one side of the equation, which is the left side of the equation. So since we had to do that, we had to introduce the opposite of this to both sides of the equation. So that plus INR minus INR will cancel out. So now we have NE minus INR is equal to IR. Okay, so, but now we have two values of n here. So we have, in our previous lesson, we've learned about factorization of algebra. So whenever you have an algebra like this, you can factorize by bringing the common values together, separating the common values. So what is common between n and in? What is common between ne and inr is n. We can see n here, we can see n here. So we bring it out. And then we open a bracket. Ne divided by n will give us e minus INR divided by n will give us IR is equal to IR. So now we have done a good job. We only have one value of n instead of two values of n. Next, n has to be alone on the left for it to become the subject. Therefore, we need to eliminate all these values we have here. So we need to divide both sides by e minus IR. So we are going to have n into e minus IR all over e minus IR is equal to IR all over e minus IR. Okay. So this will cancel out this. So finally we're going to have n is equal to IR all over e minus IR. That becomes our answer. Let me check out those on TikTok. Let's see. Thank you guys for being here on TikTok. I'm sorry I cannot read your messages, but I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're learning. So you can join my WhatsApp group if you're interested. It's a free WhatsApp group. You don't need to pay, especially for those of you in Africa. It's free. All you need to do is just send me a DM at the end of the class, and then I'll send you the link to join the WhatsApp group. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be writing down a classwork for you guys to attempt. Let me see. So sorry, Golden Boy. Sorry. I'm not seeing what's on the WhatsApp screen because see my hand here. So I'm on this side of the phone. So I'm just going to the back right now. That's why I could see your message. Sorry about that. So the only comments I can see is the one on YouTube. So if you want to join the class on YouTube, you can just check for my YouTube channel, Agbanimas Academy, on YouTube, and then you subscribe and then click on the bell so that whenever I post a video or I go live on YouTube, you are going to see it. I'm just using 3 phones: one for YouTube, one for TikTok, and one for looking at the comments on YouTube. Okay, so let me write down the classwork. Let's see. I'm going to write a very simple one and then one that you need to think about a little. So 2 questions. And then at the end of the year, I will drop some practice questions that you can practice also. So remember, we are going to have a class again on Friday, same time, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Nigerian time. You can just check about the same time that we had this class. So try this. So this is quite easy. This is quite easy. So you only have 15 minutes for these questions. I have a one-on-one class in a few minutes, so I need to conclude. Oh, okay. I'll try to be doing that. Um, I'll try to be doing that, but it's It's a lot of job. That's why I created the interactive class so that students can also work together because I'm quite busy actually. So that's why I created the interactive class for the students. So you guys can also bring out questions that you can be solving among yourselves. I might not have the entire time to do all that. So you, Ture, you can do that. You can look for questions and post in the interactive group for other students to attempt. That would be a nice idea. So I'm just dropping these two questions because of time. So once you get the answer, I'll be checking those on TikTok to see if anyone has gotten an answer. I don't know how you guys are going to write it in the comment section. So as I was saying, if you're on TikTok and you want to join the WhatsApp group, you can send me a DM at the end of the class. Just send me a DM so that I can connect you to the WhatsApp group. So it's actually free. Okay, it's free. You don't have to pay. For African students, you don't have to pay. So is anybody done with the first one on YouTube? Is anybody done? Let me, I think I can use this phone to go to TikTok for a moment. Let's see. Okay, I think, let me see. Yeah, Mota, you're on TikTok. Nice to see you. Mula, nice to see you. Brown, nice to see you. Believer girl, nice to see you. Mariam Akinwumi, nice to see you. Skynet, nice to see you. Has anybody come up with the answer yet? trigonometry, I we've already done a class on trigonometry. We did a class on a few lessons on trigonometry last 2 weeks. So you can check on my YouTube playlist, go to my YouTube playlist, and then click on trigonometry. When you go to the playlist, scroll down to trigonometry, you see some lessons that we've done already. Okay, Virginia said y is equal to a minus z square. A minus z square. Is it going to be a minus z square? You're almost right. Malichala said y is equal to z square minus a. So Virginia, check. Is it going to be a minus z square or z square minus a? Right now, I cannot explain about permutation and combination in this particular live class because every live class has a subject. There's a subject for this live class. There's a topic we are learning. So, and I'm working with time. Once I'm done with this class, I have a one-on-one tutorial in less than 30 minutes. So I have to conclude what I'm doing here and then get set for that class. Okay. Someone is saying solve them now on TikTok. This is a classwork. We've done how many questions? So I'm just waiting for the students to solve. Okay, I think I've learned that I can use one phone to see the comments on the two platforms. Um, you can go to the playlist on YouTube. You just go to the playlist on YouTube. All the lessons that we've done, I put them as playlists. So we've done um, simultaneous equation, um, quadratic equation. We've done a few topics. You can just check them out. Okay. Okay. Virginia, you're correct now. Okay, so because of time, I'm just going to solve this. The first one is quite easy. So the first one is z squared minus a. It's quite easy. So for us to make y the subject, we first have to eliminate square root. To eliminate square root, we square both sides. So we have z squared is equal to square root and square will cancel out, have a plus y. So now, since this is not a fraction, we can just mirror it. So we have a plus y is equal to z squared. And then when you move a to this side, it becomes a minus. So you have y is equal to z squared minus a. And that gives us the answer. Next, we are making u the subject. So this is a fraction. This is a fraction, so we can just cross multiply. N u squared multiplied by 1 will give you n u squared. It's equal to t times k will give us tk or kt. And then we want to make u the subject, so n has to go. So we divide both sides by n. So this will give us u squared is equal to tk all over n. But have we gotten, have we made u the subject yet? No, we haven't. The reason is we still have a square. We are not expected to make u squared the subject. We're expected to make u the subject. So because of this, we have to eliminate square. To do that, we introduce the opposite of square, which is square root. So we're going to have square root of u squared is equal to square root of tk all over n. So square root will cancel out with square. We finally have u is equal to square root of tk all over n. That becomes the answer. Okay, so that's the answer. Okay, so I think we'll be stopping at this point for today's class. In our next class, we are going to see how to solve word problems involving change of subject of a formula, and then find uh, the value of a particular quantity when other values are given. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at in our next class on Friday. Remember, if you're on TikTok and you want to join my WhatsApp group, you can simply send me a DM at the end of today's class. Okay, you can send me a DM. It's a free WhatsApp group, as I said earlier. It's a free WhatsApp group. I'm just showing my appreciation for all your support over the past few months. I'll be 2 years on TikTok in about 18 days. I started making content on TikTok. I started making content on TikTok almost 2 years ago. So I'm so glad that I've been able to continue with this up till this point. Okay, so we're stopping here. Thank you guys for being here to the end. See you in the next class on Friday. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, and God bless.